For half a century, Ron Howard seemed flawless. The wholesome boy from Mayberry who grew into Hollywood royalty. But in a recent interview, he finally pulled back the curtain. Behind that warm smile was a lifetime of shadows. The devastating decision he made in 1991 that still torments him. The family member he nearly lost to addiction while he stood on stage accepting awards. And the frightening day on set when his body simply collapsed. His revelation about what truly happened during his mysterious missing months is enough to shatter anyone's heart. Ronald William Howard was born on March 1, 1954 in Duncan, Oklahoma. And from the moment he arrived, acting was already in the air. His father, Rance Howard, had taken Howard as his stage name before joining the Air Force, while his mother, Jean Spiegel, had trained as an actress before marrying Rance in 1949. When baby Ron came along, Rance was still serving, balancing military duty with Hollywood dreams. Before Ron could even form words, he was already in front of a camera. At just 18 months old, he appeared in The Western Frontier Woman, filmed between late 1955 and early 1956. That wasn't just his first job. It marked the beginning of a childhood where the lines between playtime and showtime blurred forever. While other toddlers were learning to walk, Ron was learning how to hit his mark under hot stage lights. As television migrated west, the Howards packed their lives into a car and moved to California, not for glamour, but for opportunity. Rance wasn't chasing fame. He was investing everything in proximity to the new center of TV. Ron, still barely out of diapers, suddenly found himself surrounded by sets, scripts, and producers before ever setting foot in a classroom. He was working on Playhouse 90 before he even started school. And by the time his brother Clint was born in 1959, the plan was already paying off. The Howards kept everything in the family. No studio guardians, no controlling managers. Rance juggled his own acting roles while handling his son's career from the inside. Across his lifetime, he took more than 140 film roles and nearly 200 TV appearances, not for spotlight, but to be near his sons and keep the machine running. Then came October 3, 1960. Ron was 6 years old when America met Opie Taylor on the Andy Griffith Show. On paper, he was just another child actor. But something deeper happened on that set. Rance didn't simply drop him off. He shaped the show itself. After an early script read-through, he told the writers the father-son scenes didn't feel authentic. Andy Griffith listened. Their handshake agreement changed TV history. The bond between Andy and Opie would reflect the real relationship between Ron and Rance. That authenticity became the heart of the show. For 8 seasons, Ron didn't just grow up. He lived inside a television childhood crafted with care, discipline, and the weight of adult expectations disguised as small-town charm. At home in Burbank, the Howards lived modestly. Ron attended public school, ate meatloaf and fish sticks, and memorized lines beside the dinner table. Clint joined the business, too, and the boys became both brothers and co-workers. Rance trained Ron like a professional. He taught him to listen, pause, and respond truthfully, not cutely. Producer Sheldon Leonard saw it. Instantly. Ron wasn't performing. He was simply being real. That honesty made him a standout. By the time he was 9, Ron had already filmed one of his most unforgettable scenes, Opie the Birdman, where his raw, authentic emotions stunned everyone on set. Andy Griffith called it adult-level acting. Ron achieved it by using substitution, thinking of real pain when the script demanded it, then letting it go once the camera stopped. But behind the success, Ron felt trapped. He later described those years as living in a golden cage while other kids played baseball and rode bikes. He spent school days in a tiny on-set classroom and lunch breaks with adults. It was safe, loving, but isolating. His pressure grew in 1962. During The Music Man. At just 8 years old, he was cast as Winthrop Peru, but he was tone-deaf and terrified. Music conductor Ray Hindorf coached him tirelessly through Gary, Indiana. His soft shoe routine had to be shot from the knees up because he couldn't dance. Yet, the performance worked in the film. Became one of the year's biggest hits. Behind the scenes, he memorized not just his own lines, but Shirley Jones's too. She saw what no one else did. A future director quietly emerging. By 1966, Ron was filming The Monroes and the Rugged Wyoming Rockies. The series lasted only 26 episodes before NBC can let it. Ron was just 13, and the rejection cut deep. He thought the show failed because of him. The pain stayed with him for years. In 1968, he turned down an audition for The Brady Bunch, not out of arrogance, but because of a family rule. Either Rance or Gene had to be home every day, from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. No exceptions. They wanted balance. They wanted Ron to have something resembling a normal life. That decision may have saved him from burnout and opened the door for happy days. By 1974, Ron became Richie Cunningham, the role that defined his late teens and early adulthood. His 5-year contract paid $7,500 per episode. His chemistry with Henry Winkler was instant, but by season 5, Ron was 23. Still playing a teen while the world outside was in turmoil. He pushed ABC to address real issues like the Vietnam draft. They refused. The frustration suffocated him. The Fonzie phenomenon made things worse. ABC even attempted to rename the show Fonzie's Happy Days. Ron threatened to quit. They backed down halfway, keeping the title, but giving Fonzie top billing. Quietly, Ron won. Then came a turning point. In 1977, Ron directed an episode himself. His shot list was so precise the crew nicknamed him Little Spielberg. Ratings jumped. ABC gave him more episodes to direct. Henry Winkler said Ron forced him to dig deeper emotionally. A director was officially born. His big break came with Roger Corman. Ron agreed to star in Eat My Dust only if he could direct the next film. That film was Grand Theft Auto. Made for $62,000 and earning $15 million. Ron co-wrote it with his father, cast his mother and brother. Destroyed 70 cars on camera, and shot. Guerrilla style without permits. At 23, he proved he wasn't just a TV kid. He was a force behind the camera. In June 1975, Ron married Cheryl Alley, his high school sweetheart. They had been inseparable since their teens. Henry Winkler was the best man. Andy Griffith and Tom Bosley attended when Cheryl went into labor. With their first child, Ron sprinted off, set to join her. Years later, he would say Cheryl was the real anchor of his life, the one piece of grounding in his whirlwind world. Ron's directing career exploded. Night Shift 1982 introduced Michael Keaton. Splash 1984 turned Tom Hanks into a star and became Disney's first touchstone hit. Then came Imagine Entertainment in 1985 with Brian Grazer, a company that would go on to earn 43 Oscar nominations, nearly 200 Emmys, and more than $15 billion in worldwide box office revenue. And in 1995, Apollo 13 would elevate him once again. They bought real NASA mission control panels, some for just a $1, straight from government surplus. To capture true weightlessness, they shot 612 zero-gravity scenes aboard the infamous Vomit Comet, each lasting only 23 seconds. That meant 10 grueling days of parabolic dives. The explosion scene with Ed Harris had to be filmed 12 separate times. It cost $340,000. And one mistimed test singed Harris's eyebrows. Ron Howard still refused to fake it. Every switch position, every burst of radio chatter, every blinking light had to be exact. The movie eventually earned $355 million worldwide, scoring 9 Oscar nominations and winning 2. But the road there nearly broke him. Ron worked 18-hour days for 90 straight days. He attended NASA briefings, watched every archived reel, and led nightly rehearsals. On day 90, his body quit. He collapsed. Dehydration, hypertension. The set fell silent. Production halted for 36 hours. When he returned, the crew greeted him wearing shirts that read Mission Control. At that point, it wasn't just a movie. It was a declaration. Ron Howard had buried Opie Taylor. He'd finally proven himself until he made one disastrous choice. ETV 1999 cost $80 million, but earned just $50 million. Ron had turned down Castaway to make it worse. It debuted only a month after The Truman Show, a film that explored the same idea, but better. Critics called EDTV a warning about media that was ironically part of the problem. Imagine Entertainment lost $30 million. Still, Ron adapted. He listened. He pressed forward. By 1999, Imagine had 23 projects in development. Universal funded 6 films a year with a $60 million cap. Ron didn't direct them all, but his name was on every single one. The offices buzzed. The staff swelled to 140 people. Their 1990s output had already earned $2.3 billion. In 2001, Ron stepped behind the camera for A Beautiful Mind with a $58 million budget and a very different vision. He didn't want to show John Nash's world through flashy effects. He wanted viewers to Feel it. So, the hallucinations were filmed without visual cues, no shimmering edits, no warnings. Characters like Charles Herman and William Parter appeared real because that's how Nash experienced them. Ron even shot 90% of the film in chronological order, returning to Princeton 3 times to get every detail right. The result was staggering. On March 24, 2002, Ron Howard won the Oscar for Best Director. But the film carried another truth, his own. Behind the flawless shots were years of pressure, regret, family strain, and unspoken pain. Yet even success brought backlash. Critics attacked the omissions, Nash's affairs, his abandoned son, his 1954 arrest, and the simplified explanation of Nash equilibrium. Still, the film pulled in over $313 million and won 4 Oscars. Ron had shown the world that a story could touch hearts, even when its sharpest edges were softened. Just 5 years later, he was thrust into a very different storm. In 2006, Ron directed The Da Vinci Code with a $125 million budget and Tom Hanks as Robert Langdon, but the Catholic Church shut its doors. St. Sulpice in Paris and Westminster Abbey refused access. The team had to digitally recreate entire cathedrals, an effort that went wrong when the coordinates at St. Sulpice were off by centimeters. Westminster scenes were filmed instead